Hey, YouTube, Rando here. So I wanted to update you guys on the mealworms. We've probably gotten so far about 20 beetles out of them. If you remember right, we got 100 worms. I probably fed half of those worms to my chameleon, and then I let half of them go ahead and morph into the little, what are they called, pupas, I guess. And now they're hatching into beetles. Some of the beetles are coming out white, and then they change colors into brown. I don't know if like the dark black ones are females or males, and then vice versa with the browns. I'm not sure which is which. I don't think so. I think the lighter colored ones are just younger maybe, and the darker ones are older. I'm not too sure. I'll have to do some research on that. They're all up under this bread right here. Actually, there were two of them just bumping uglies on there and eating at the same time. I was trying to catch it as they were bumping just so you could see it. It was kind of funny looking. But they got done, and now they're just crawling around eating. There's a lot of them burrowed into the oatmeal. You can see a few of them there, but there's a lot of them underneath there. I'm willing to say there's more than 20, probably closer to 30. And this is how we feed them. I just throw a piece of bread in there. They eat it. It's stale. It needs to be changed out. The potatoes just got changed out. Problem with the potatoes is you're going to get mold if you don't change them out often. Keep these buckets aerated. I know they tell you to keep them in the dark, but keeping them in the dark is kind of hard if you want to aerate them at all. So I keep them aerated quite a bit. We had a problem with mold when we had the little bucket that I showed on the first video. So since then we've kind of gotten a little bit bigger bucket. We put a little bit deeper amount of oatmeal. There's probably a good inch and a half in there now, and we haven't had a problem with mold so far. We did just clean this out. You got to watch out if you have worms. Your worms will burrow into those potatoes. So it's kind of hard to throw away the rotten, molding potato because it's full of worms. And actually, on the first video, you seen it when I put the thing in there, the potato in there. They all grew to the potato because they were all starving for water. They got shipped over here dry, so they were thirsty. So as soon as you drop those in there, the worms will start going for them. And usually the beetles do too. When we first dropped them in there about an hour ago, they were attacking it pretty good. I guess they hadn't had moisture for a while. The potatoes that were in there were pretty dried up, but they've been eating like crazy as well. So we definitely need to get a bin built for them. As soon as we do that, we're going to do a how-to video on how to do the bin. We're going to make a bin specially for them so the eggs fall through a screen as they lay them, because they will eat the smaller worms as they hatch. The beetles will actually eat them, so we want to keep that from happening, and we want to keep the beetles separate from the worms anyway. So as they turn into pupas, they'll go into a separate bin. We'll have worms in one bin, then pupas, then beetles, and we'll have the beetles right above the worm bin. That way they'll fall through. And we may do two separate worm bins. We may do a larger one for the larger worms and then one for the newborns. And just, you know, if you do it on a larger level, it's going to be harder to separate those. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it works out. That's what this is all about. It's a learning process. We're trying to learn how to raise them. So far, not too many major problems. Looks like those two there are getting busy, don't it? There's one underneath that one right there. A black one. I think they're just having a big massive orgy there. First bug orgy on YouTube, baby, right here. Look at them. Oh yeah. They're doing something. I don't know if that's how these bugs made or not, but they're definitely doing something. I don't know what. Looks kind of funky, don't it? They're all just kind of piled up on the piece of bread right there. I don't know. Maybe they like to bang and eat bread at the same time, I guess. I don't know. Also, when we put our potatoes in there, we leave the moisture side up. Don't let that touch your oatmeal, because then it'll start mildewing the oatmeal around the potatoes. So we try to keep those lifted up, facing towards the air to where it's drying out and isn't actually keeping the oatmeal underneath it moist. So, alright, that's going to be it for this one. We'll do an update on these pretty soon. As soon as we start getting some eggs, and we're going to do a how-to video on the bin, so be looking out for those. Thanks for watching, YouTube.